All right, so for this video, I just want to go through the alt-right media tracker as it stands on October 10th, 2020. Broadly speaking, the purpose of the alt-right media tracker is to just give a quantification to the alt-right's presence on YouTube. I'm hoping to expand that out to Twitter and Reddit in the near future, but we'll see where that goes. A little bit more about why it exists in general in the description. There'll be a link to a blog post I wrote about why we should track the alt-right. All right, so let's get started. The main page here, which again, I'll drop a link to this in the description, is just trying to capture the overall summary of what the alt-right's doing right now and in general. So you can see that it captures the total number of views, total number of videos, total number of subscribers, and then lets you navigate to these three other views. So yeah, this is just supposed to summarize where the alt-right's at and their impact. Hitting on some important concepts later on, there's sort of 3 to 4 things you need to know. Using this, the channels, which obviously correspond to YouTube channels like Steven Crowder, PragerU, etc. Videos, which are obviously our individual videos, and then also another one called tags. And channel and tags are things that creators can add to the end of videos to sort of sort them on the searches. So to navigate, you can just click one of these buttons. And one thing I want to make sure before we move on to those dashboards is that this front page is disconnected from sort of the rest of the dashboard because it uses information from just the channel, like you can get from just pinging the channels to understand how many views and videos and subscribers each of these channels has, where the rest of these numbers are going to be based off of the aggregation of videos. So let's go ahead and get started with the ideology dashboard. The ideology dashboard here shows the impact of the alt-right by individual ideologies. So this is sort of the fourth item I was talking about there. So you have conspiracy, anti-social justice warrior, anti-MRA, QAnon, religious conservatives, and white identitarians. I'm going to zoom us out a little bit here so you can sort of see the whole thing. So what this does is shows metrics by ideological grouping. So obviously these views, the anti-SJW crowd, as it were, is pretty strong right now, and this shows it by channel, and finally engagement. So you can see that the QAnon people here have pretty high engagement. And so speaking of that, I want to take a moment there to explain what engagement is. And that's just in this hover over here, but it's basically just a way of trying to figure out how engaged users are by seeing how much they're commenting and liking it against the number of views. So yeah, I think that captures it pretty well. One other thing I wanted to do before we move on to the next one is talk about this hover over here when you go to one of these channels or video. There'll be a hover over that pops up with some information about the channel, some recent videos, or in the case of a video, the description, some metrics, and then the views over time. So you can see that over here as well. So moving on to the channel tag, I personally think of this one as the sort of meat of the tracker. I think this has the most useful information. I think it has the most engaging information. So again, just talked about engagement, but we can sort of use these items in here to filter all of this other stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at what PragerU is doing right now. So if we go and just click on PragerU, obviously it's going to do that hover again, but you can also see that they have this groupings by tag for PragerU. So I'm curious about what PragerU is talking, gets a lot of engagement, relatively speaking, when they're talking about terrorism, patriots, and peace officers and religion of green. So, that would be perhaps an area that we want, that people on the left would want to focus their efforts on, is making sure that we have a alternative talking about that. I can likewise with that tag, I can go ahead and see, all of the different ones that people are talking about. So I can just click on that tag, and it's going to filter by, if I unfilter by channel here, and then I go back to filtering by tag, you can see that, the full engagement by channel of each of these tags. So these couple of guys are getting a ton of engagement on the channel. So again, this would be a nice spot to focus on, is looking at these ones with a high viewership, high engagement. So all this, you can also, of course, do clear. You can also, of course, search tags up at the top here. So if we wanted to see who's talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you can see that actually you don't get a ton of views on that, but you can get some pretty high engagement when you're talking about it. So as well as sort of the other tags that are mentioned and with it. And that sort of falls true for all of these. So if I just want to look at the last month or so, we can say 9/1/96/2020, and that's just going to give me who's talking about what at this particular time right now. So you can see the Daily Wire and Liberal Hive Mind are getting a lot of views right now for probably some relevant topics of the day. Okay, and on the bottom of each of these, there will be this way of browsing it, so you can actually get individual videos looking at the individual things. Okay, so let's move on to trend. So this just sort of brings all of the rest of the dashboards together and gives an idea of where these channels are at over time. So you can see that this just tracks the channel type over time, and then you pop up a channel trend. So you can see that somewhat the Joe Rogan Experience has fallen out of favor, whereas Steven Crowder is ascendant. And same thing with tags. This pink tag has fallen quite a bit. I guess that's just Joe Rogan Experience, and is now the fifth tag where it was pretty high. Okay, so again, you can click on these by filtering them, and that sort of filters all of the other things, including these popular videos down here. So one thing I'm going to be adding on this dashboard in the next couple of days is adding right here a hot tag, so that you can see sort of what the alt-right is talking about in the last 10 days or so. I also might add that to the dashboard there. So, looking back to where this dashboard is, its purpose, where it's going, I am looking to sort of expand this out into the general, into outside of YouTube and into the sort of social networks more generally. So that includes bringing in Twitter and Reddit, where alt-righters are also very active, and finally just sort of pulling in some natural language processing, some deeper sort of big data concepts into this. There's a link about that in the description if you want to know a little bit more about where this is going, as well as if you are on this page here, that link can be found here, as well as a blog post on how you can help with the development of this tracker. If you are a academic or researcher and you want access to a version of this dashboard where you can search descriptions and get links to these videos and download the data, just let me know. I have a secondary dashboard that sort of has all that information, but I just don't want to post it because I don't want to drive views to these channels. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Critiquant. I'm Peter.